What's up, church? Wear my Connect t-shirt, sporting it all day today. Want to say thank you to all the people that are coming on tonight to watch. If you don't know, or if you want to share, every Wednesday night we go live or schedule a video, depends on scheduling, at 7 p.m. every Wednesday night. And so be excited. This coming Sunday is going to be a baptism service / a membership service. So looking forward to that. I think we have 4 or 5, maybe 6 people getting baptized. And y'all, my heart, it would be so cool if we had so many people coming to the Lord and wanting to be baptized to show that they've accepted Christ and they're wanting to change and they want that outward display of what God has done inside of them. If we had to do that during worship every Sunday, that would be so amazing to me. So, and if maybe you've been baptized a few years ago, and I think there's a reason that God said to do your first fruits over again, because you need that refreshing experience to keep them. I mean, there's a reason why you take your spouse out to maybe somewhere where you went when you were first dating or something like that. You know, it kind of rekindles that fire. Somebody takes the kids, or maybe your kids are grown and maybe you're older in age, but you go somewhere that means something to both of y'all, and it just rekindles that fire. You're repeating your first fruits. So you may not have signed up. The deadline's already gone. Last Sunday was that, to get on the sign-up list, because we make t-shirts and everything. But it's not just to once a month. We can do this thing as many times as we have people that want to jump in and get dunked for the Lord. It really excites me. When you have people getting baptized and coming to the altars, it means that the church is growing spiritually. And that's amazing to me. So, we are in week 14. And in this 14th week, we are in Proverbs 14. And we're going to touch a little bit, too, if you want to turn there to Matthew chapter 5. We're just going to read a few verses from that. Chapter 5, verses 21 and 22. But the title of tonight's topic is, I'm going to lose it. This is, as a minister, or if you do a Sunday school class, or you do a small group. By the way, we're going to be cooking with some of those here pretty quick as well. When you seem to be preparing for a lesson, it's like God kind of smacks you in the face with something that you have a problem with. And anger is one of mine. Now, I'm very, around people, I don't get angry a lot. I hold my tongue very well. Even when I want to speak, a lot of times I don't, because I have learned that it's better to just shut up for now. Because what I do, and I've told some of y'all this, I think it was Pastor Aaron, or maybe it was my wife, I don't remember. But they were like, so what are you thinking right now? Because something just happened, or an issue arose. And I'm like, man, I'm having all the conversations I don't need to have out loud inside of my head. And they kind of laugh, but that's kind of how my process works, because I would rather have that conversation in my head than to say something out loud that I would regret later. So if you have an anger issue, we're going to talk about some things that maybe really could help you hone in. And anger is something that, just like that, can make a whole atmosphere change. Excuse me. So we're going to be looking on some verses. And I don't know about you, but I have experienced just completely losing it. And a lot of times, not a lot of times, it seems like maybe when I'm going to preach or something like that, the devil works through my son, getting me upset or frustrating me that morning to where it's almost impossible to get to church because they won't get in the truck. I didn't mean to say they. Just things. And it's like, but when you're on edge about something or you're nervous, you end up, your nerves are already raw anyways. And so I know it's mostly my fault. It's just the way things usually go anyways. And I'm just extra intense and I'm trying to be focused. And it's like things are trying to sidetrack me and get me where I can't fully get my head in the game. So I end up getting very frustrated when I'm trying to study for preaching, because it seems like that's when everybody's trying to get my attention and my phone's going nuts. And I got people trying to call me to schedule, or hey, just call me to say how's it going, or my kid's like, why don't you come outside and throw the ball with me? And I'm like, Tristan, I'm trying to do the Lord's work. Will you just go away for right now? And that sounds terrible, but if you've been a parent any length of time, you get it. Sometimes you just need your space so that you can really focus, and it really becomes super hard to get honed in on God, to really have that separation time from God, because there's so many distractions. And so in these moments is when I most of the time get upset. So with people, circumstances rise up or anything like that, like I'll say what needs to be said, but I usually don't get mad. It's usually when I'm trying to study or something like that, and I feel like I'm getting stretched thinner and thinner and thinner, that's when my nerves are the most exposed, and Tristan finds them pretty easily. So you may have a long day. You may have had a challenging day. We all work with someone at some point in time, and if you don't, it will happen to where you don't understand why God would even bless them with the job. I mean, that's just real life. Maybe a difficult conversation with somebody that you don't really enjoy, and yet you have to talk with them because they may be in your family. You may be married to them. You may work with them. They may go to your church. I mean, these are real things and real situations that happen all the time, but it's very common for us to pretend like it doesn't because we're church people. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. We all have issues. We all are irritated by certain types of people. It's just, that's a part of the way things are. But the way we can grow in God's wisdom is to learn how to change us, not them, to change us, and that will change our circumstance. If people cut you off, today I was going, I had work over in Tyler because that's where we were from, so that's where all my work is right now. And there was this big truck behind me, and it kept speeding up right on my bumper. And it wasn't like a truck, like a Ford. It was like one of those utility truck type deals. And I'm like, what is going on? And then they would try to get around me, but they couldn't get the speed. And I would be over, but then they would get over behind me. And I'm like, what are they doing? But then when I would try to pass somebody, it's like they were following me. I was trying to see if I knew who it was. It was just, I was like, dude, go find your own way and leave me alone. Traffic is one thing that probably triggers me a lot. I get a little triggered with traffic. And people just, they're in their own little world. They don't care what anybody else is doing. They're just worried about themselves. And it's become a very, and it's a part of the culture too, is we more and more, well, anything goes, whatever I wanted to do, that's fine, and nobody else can say anything about it. And we forget that there's really a right or wrong. And it's not us. I was thinking about this today. I get a lot of road time, so I get a lot of time with just me and God and praying. Now I feel like people they use you can't judge me. Matter of fact, I can, and it's not me judging you. It's the Word of God that you're not measuring up to, and we all don't measure up. But for me to say right and wrong, and then you to say that I can't do that, well, sorry, sir, I'm answering to a higher authority than what you say. So, I mean, the heat starts to build up in those types of conversations too. You get people that start bickering about denomination or what is still manifesting today and what died off with the disciples. And Paul wasn't a disciple. But anyways, we're not going to get on that. But you get these topics, these hard conversations, this friction, and the heat builds. You know, I used to have, when Jesse and I first got married, she would tease me about something that was, I didn't think was any of her business. And I was new to being back in a relationship. And I would have arguments in my head with, never say a word to her, but I would have these intense arguments in my head of what she would say, and then what I would say, and then what she would say, and then what I would say. And in my head, I felt really good about it because I thought, I won that argument. And then I realized how dumb it was that I was getting upset about something that didn't even actually happen. But anger always ends up finding a way to escape. Anger causes tremendous issues in our lives. Jesus even said that the distance between anger and someone murdering them is pretty short, because anger basically devalues someone else to the point to where you say, I don't really care if you're here or not. I don't really care if you're alive. So remember I told you to turn to Matthew 5. So let's look at verse 21 and 22. You have heard, and this is from the New Living Translation, you have heard that our ancestors were told, you must not murder. If you commit murder, you are subject to judgment. But I say, if you are even angry with someone, you are subject to judgment. If you call someone an idiot, you are in danger of being brought to court. And if you curse someone, you are in danger of the fires of hell. One thing I've noticed in Jesus' teaching is he didn't play or pull punches because he was going to offend somebody. He said the truth, and the truth will outlast anybody who wants to argue it. Then the word contempt comes to mind here because you start acting like someone's not even. So when you get mad at somebody, me, I don't know about you, maybe y'all are perfect, but not me. When I get mad at somebody and I'm seriously ticked off at them, I don't want to hear that. At that moment, they have no value to me. I don't want to hear them. I don't want to know what they have to say about it. And that's wrong. So if I'm doing it, chances are you're probably doing it too. So let's get better together. So the wisdom of God has a lot to do with disarming our anger, because when we take away the tools that the enemy tries to use against us, because all it takes is that one time for you to get mad and someone knows where you go to church. Well, they'll never come to this church ever. And I'm telling you, that it sounds so stupid, but they will use your one time of messing up or getting angry, and the devil will use that. It'll grow roots in their spirit, and they will, in their minds, put a bad mark against Connect Church. When in truth, everyone gets angry and everyone gets upset and everyone puts their foot in their mouth. Everyone says something stupid. I'm probably in the top 1% on that one. But we all do it. But it makes us do things, especially, if you've been married, at some point in time, you have probably gotten in an argument and said something that you probably shouldn't have. Or, not pointing ladies out, but maybe you bring up something that happened 5 years ago that we apologized for 20 times already. I'm just kidding. My wife is perfect. So we say things, we do things, we act out, and it bubbles and it bubbles and it bubbles, and and this is the worst thing about the anger is a lot of times you will get so angry at a certain moment over here, and you may shut your mouth and you may do really good. And what happens is you have these other small moments that build up and they build up and then build up. And then all of a sudden, anger always finds a way to release itself. All of a sudden, you explode over here and you have just left a wake of bodies of innocent people that wasn't even a part of the conversation or the fight over here. Or they're not the one that cut you off. My wife and I, we do this all the time, and we recognize it. She'll have a bad day, or she will, whatever happens at work, or the kids are acting all nut jobs, which is, every day. Or I had a long day and I'm exhausted, and, she comes in and I'm like, well, why didn't you do this? Or she says, I asked you to do this. Why didn't you do that? And I'm like, excuse me, I've been working all day just like you. And we'll be like this for just a few seconds, and we'll have some time. She'll be in her area doing her thing. I'll go in my office because that's my safe zone. And I'll lick my wounds for a little bit. And then I'll be like, you know what? I can't even believe that I got upset about that. Or I can't even believe she got upset about that. And I'll go in there and I'll say, listen, I'll either say about me or about her, because her and I are very open about things like this. I'll say, baby, I think maybe you were upset at something at work that didn't have anything to do with me, and you might have been taking it out on me. I mean, I handle it with kid gloves, and she'll tell you. I say this whenever I feel like I need to say it, or if I'm the one that messed up, which is, I'll go in there and say, listen, I am tired. I'm sorry. This is why I said this. I could have said it 1,000 other different ways besides the claws out approach that I did. And we'll hug each other, we'll embrace each other, and we'll apologize, and we'll mean it. And so this is something we're going from Proverbs 14. A fool's proud talk becomes a rod that beats him. So his own words are what will get him. But the words of the wise keep safe. And we look down at verse 17 in Proverbs 14. It says, short-tempered people do foolish things, and schemers are hated. So, in one word, what can we sum up that we can learn from this? Is that we need to learn with each other, with our spouses, with our kids, with our coworkers, with our, whoever we come in contact with, is patience. Patience is not easy. And beware, if you pray to God for patience, He will teach you patience in a way that you will not forget, which is usually a little tough. So, but I mean, patience will make your life easier. It will give you a certain understanding that you didn't have before. Patience has great understanding, but one who has quick temper displays folly. Proverbs 14:29. Patience is one of the wisest virtues because it helps us stop, listen, assess, and really it keeps us from acting too quickly or violently based on simply what we're feeling. Our feelings will fight against you. Have you ever heard someone say, oh, I just feel like I'm so in love, I love him. Like, girl, it's been 2 weeks. You don't know him. You don't know him at all. You know what he's pretending to be. You know what he's acting like now. But the way you really get to know somebody is through the fire. But patience helps us take a deep breath and to see, really truly see what matters most. So, like I say every week, I hope that you're reading the Proverbs as we go along. We'll be in 15 next week. But I want to leave you with this. You have to practice patience to really get your anger under control. It's not easy. It's not for the faint of heart. This is not a game. But patience is something that when you find that, when you establish that in your heart, it bleeds out into everything else, and it brings such a peace to your home, to your job, to your car ride, to your church, when you have patience and grace and love with each other, especially those who don't deserve it. Because if we only gave love, grace, and mercy to those who deserved it, imagine if God did that. And who are we supposed to be reflections of? Not our own selfishness and stupidity. We're supposed to be reflecting God. So I want to challenge you this week. Give patience, give love, give mercy, give grace to those who don't deserve. Because that is when God will really change you and begin to bleed out and change the things around you. I love y'all, and we will see you Sunday for baptism. Have a great week.